In the last 30 minutes, we saw them use crowd dispersing methods like pepper spray and blast balls. You can hear some of the noises in this video we are bringing to you. So let's begin with KIRO 7's Ryan Sims, who is live right now in the middle of it all. Ryan, if you're able to hear me, I can see some of this video and the chaos. Tell us what you are seeing on the ground right now.
Well, Lindsay, the remarkable thing is that it was quite calm and peaceful till about 3:45, and then, much like we've seen other times, things just escalated. We started hearing reports of businesses, specifically Starbucks and a nearby grocery store, Whole Foods, being damaged and smashed, and that set off quite an intense time with police. And there you hear those flashbangs. We are hearing that continuously for about 30 minutes now. There was a time maybe about 10 minutes ago where every few seconds those flashbangs were going off. Obviously, those are being used to disperse the crowd. You are looking at live picture. You can see there in the distance things being hurled between officers and demonstrators there. This is flaring up in real time. You're watching this as it is transpiring, because only about a minute ago it had kind of calmed down, but you're seeing in real time that it is flaring up again. We should mention that you were looking at, I believe it's the intersection of 9th and Pine, so that gives you perspective. We're on the very edge of Cal Anderson Park. We have witnessed several arrests. We have also witnessed objects being hurled at police officers. We saw a board being thrown at an officer just a short time ago. So again, this situation did, escalate quite fast through what had been very, very peaceful. As we're zooming in here, I'm not sure what exactly we're showing you, but every few minutes we're hearing these flashbangs, and what that is doing is dispersing the protesters farther and farther down Pine Street. And since we've been here, they've already moved. The protesters and police have already moved several blocks because these flashbangs are going off every few minutes. From our vantage point here, again, we are on the very edge of Cal Anderson Park. We are at 10th and Pine right now. We have not really seen or witnessed any damage to windows or businesses in this area. But again, earlier, we got reports of Whole Foods being smashed and also Starbucks. Let me show you the middle of the street, too, as they're chanting behind me, because you can see that there is a lot of debris in the middle of the street. Those are flashbangs that you see, the remnants of that, as well as some of the debris that has been tossed at officers here at 10th and Pine. So this area has been cleared out, but presumably every time you hear one of those flashbangs going off behind me, they are moving down Pine towards more of the downtown area. So that is where kind of the crux of that activity is right now. That
and Ryan, as you were talking right now, we are seeing some video that shows some of that graffiti and also police struggling with, it appears, one of those protesters, and it looks like several officers are actually taking them down to the ground there. Other people appear to be recording what is going on. This is a live camera feed from one of our photographers that we are taking a look at here. I am waiting for my producer to tell me exactly what corner this is, but no doubt this is in that Capitol Hill area, and you can see that one officer there is standing by as several officers have taken that person down to the ground, and I'm still hearing some of those flashbangs going on. Again, we see there 3 officers, it appears bike officers, obviously they're wearing helmets, and they are taking that person into custody, handcuffing them. We obviously will be asking police what this protester may have done to cause this person to be taken into custody at this point. Several things that Seattle police are putting out there on Twitter over the past 30 minutes or so is that they are saying that officers have had some sort of explosives thrown or fired at them, and that also there have been numerous incidents of bottles and balloons filled with liquid being thrown at officers. We do not know what is the situation here with this person who was just taken into custody, but we will be asking police for the reason there. As this photographer moves, I think I saw the sign Broadway there, and then we are taking a different shot here. Now we are back with Ryan Sims and his photographer, and we are seeing another angle of everything that is unfolding on Capitol Hill right now. You can see there are a large number of Seattle police bike officers there on the scene, and oftentimes they do what they appear to be doing right now, is sort of holding a line. We saw our reporter Ryan there, and then holding the line in this video you see here. A lot of people, and we see another, what appears to be some sort of flashbang let off as an officer's running towards this photographer. You see a lot of these protesters holding those umbrellas, trying to shield themselves, trying to also hold their own line. And in this wide shot, you can see the line of police officers, what appears to be perhaps a mobile precinct or just a bus that is pulled over. As we see closer, it appears to be just a bus that is pulled over. And then the line of protesters right there. Now, of course, it was in this general area where we did have that Capitol Hill occupied or organized protest zone not long ago. And certainly the Seattle Police East Precinct, just a couple blocks from where Ryan is standing, at 12th and Pine, was in that area. I think we are going to go to you, Ryan, because you are watching something happening right now. Walk us through it, Ryan.
Well, as we've been mentioning, every few seconds, really, we're hearing these flashbangs go off. And so as a result of that, the crowd is being moved continually down Pine Street they're headed toward the downtown corridor. It did start, and really the crux of the action and the intensity of this action just up until a few moments ago was right beside Cal Anderson Park at 10th and Pine. But with each one of these bangs that is going off, you just heard it right there, that crowd is moving towards downtown. For what it's worth, in this area anyway, we're seeing a lot of debris in the street here, and obviously there is a huge and considerable police presence here as they're trying to disperse these protesters from causing any damage. In terms of the damage that we're seeing, at least next to Cal Anderson Park, the damage seems to be minimal. Jonathan, we could go across the street here. Let me show you those windows across there. Those are intact. Sure, every few business or so is boarded up, but at least next to Cal Anderson Park, the damage to these shops and businesses seems to be minimal. But if we go into the roadway here, John, let's go into the street over here. You can see that a lot of debris has been thrown at officers, and it really has been in both directions here. A lot of what you're seeing in the roadway there are the flashbangs that seem so far, not pleasant, but seem so far to have done the job in terms of getting these demonstrators to move down Pine and away from Cal Anderson Park. One thing that we're going to be looking out for as we go through this area is the damage, because again, we have heard damage at Whole Foods, we have heard damage at Starbucks. What is interesting yesterday is we talked to one of the people who was planning on demonstrating. Let's see, maybe they're coming back this way. You're seeing this in real time. They are coming back. We don't know what's happening here. It's we're seeing dozens and dozens of police right here. This action seems to be coming back up here. We thought it was going to be going down Pine, but it seems to be coming back up here. So we don't really know what's going on here. We're seeing a rush of officers, as you see on your screen, on bicycles. They have that armored car right there. They're moving towards our direction again. So we're going to see what's happening. We'll send it back to you,
Ryan,
and
we'll
come back to you guys.
We are seeing reports from SPD of a burning telephone pole at 11th and Pine and broken windows and damage in that area. Wondering if you are seeing any smoke. Obviously, that might be hard to discern with the smoke of these flashbangs and other things. But certainly, we are getting a lot of different chaotic reports about things that are happening in that area. Are you seeing any smoke, or is that sort of overshadowed by what is being put up in the air by those flashbangs?
It's really hard to tell. There are so many flashbangs just going off in a matter of a minute that the air is clearly, it's smoky, but we don't know if that's the remnants from the flashbangs or from smoke and things being lit on fire. But as you're seeing, it seems like the demonstrators are coming back this way. You're seeing live. There's a gentleman right there who seems to be taunting the protesters right here in the middle of the roadway. Seeing this in real time, he doesn't seem to be too fearful about what is going on. For the most part, most of the people who are taking part in this, they seem to be following, at least getting back. But this one gentleman right in the middle of the roadway, he doesn't seem to have any qualms about being there. We're about to be hit by this gas, so I'm going to send it back to you. We're going to maneuver away from here and come back to you in a few minutes.
Okay, please do, Ryan. Yes, please get to a safe place. We're going to cut away from you and let you walk a little bit farther away there. We're going to go, I believe, to our live team coverage with this shot here. This appears to be another shot. Oh, this is a group photographer who is sharing this shot and showing some of this video here. Also, it appears to be on Capitol Hill. You can see a lot of the officers and also some of the movement of traffic there. You can see it looks like they have their shields and basically their gear ready if this becomes a more confrontational situation. It's not clear if we could pull, I don't believe we can pull out a little bit more here from the shot, but if we could check that street sign there to find out exactly where this is on Capitol Hill in relation to that shot we just showed you with those flashbangs going off. We are seeing a Seattle DOT camera here that shows the movement of the protesters, these demonstrators, clearly dozens, hundreds, as they move through this area of Capitol Hill. We saw what appeared to be perhaps the front line of that as those people were walking toward those officers and facing some of those flashbangs. The crowd is moving toward Broadway, and this is Broadway and Pine, the viewpoint that you are seeing here. And so they are moving that way, and we are going to try to track their exact path to find out where they are heading. In the meantime, Seattle police putting out the information that multiple arrests have been made at this point. Perhaps 10 minutes ago or so, we showed you that one man being taken into custody. We don't know what the allegations are there, but multiple arrests have been made, and SPD is tweeting out that safe exit is to the west. Well, as you can see from this video here on your screen, it appears that hundreds of people are not taking that quote safe exit. They are walking together and they are sending their message loud and clear to police that they have no interest at this point in leaving. I believe we are going to check in with another member of our live team. You are looking live at that Seattle DOT camera, and you can see just a few people, sort of stragglers at the back of that large protest crowd. And now this is another view, and this is that view on Capitol Hill. And we are just trying to kind of get an idea of where exactly this is, but this is certainly a bunch of those protesters that you saw marching on that DOT camera, and a lot of them, I mean, came, as you can see, with those helmets and with goggles and with the umbrellas. They also came with gear to protect themselves in what they expected here. And so, as you can see, both sides, in many cases, facing off in a line. And you can see the protesters have made their own line with these umbrellas, and then officers have made their line with these bikes and many other reinforcements behind there. I'm seeing an armored truck, but no doubt there's much more behind them. And so this is the face-off here on Capitol Hill at this point. What we know from Seattle police is that they were early on, about an hour ago, reporting spray painting at the East Precinct. They were at 12th and Pine. They were also reporting people trying to disable cameras and damage the fence perimeter there. Just about 15 minutes after that, they said one person breached the East Precinct fence line before East Precinct officers noticed smoke in the building lobby. And then they are saying that there is possible explosive damage to the walls of the East Precinct, which is probably, judging from what we're seeing here, a few blocks away. So that has been sort of a center of many of these conflicts. And we are going to get to Ryan right now. I believe he is tracking some of the developments there. Ryan, what is going on there?
Well, since our last report a few minutes ago, the crux of this accident, the intensity of this action has moved back up next to Cal Anderson Park. It is literally right on the side of the park where Pine is. You can see just a ton of flashbangs going off over there, and really a lot of activity. Again, right next to the baseball diamond here at Cal Anderson Park. Of course, this is where the chop was for several weeks, and yet again, it has become a hub of activity. Protesters, demonstrators, and police were moving closer to really, you can see a wall of bicycle police From our vantage point right here, people really have been trying to go through these wall of officers that you see on your screen, but yet farther down Pine, off to the side here, you can see, Jonathan, if we go, let's go over here. You can see that police are once again pushing demonstrators down Pine again. So this seems like give and take. Police make some progress with pushing those demonstrators down Pine. The demonstrators kind of fight back, and the line and escalation keeps going back and forth. And here we go. These police are moving in to where we're at right now. So we're going to take a step here. You hear those flashbangs. They are going constantly around here. Move out of the way right here.
Sure. Ryan, as you're walking, we're just going to continue to take your video. I know that you have to keep an eye out for your photographer as well. But as you are walking there, we are staying with your shot, and you can see Seattle police doing what they have done in many other situations, is using these bikes to create a moving wall to push demonstrators back. And this, as Ryan mentioned, is all too familiar for protesters over the past few weeks and back until, early June and end of May, is this sort of movement pushing them backwards, and certainly this type of confrontation that we've seen on Capitol Hill right near the East Precinct. This is a familiar shot that we are seeing, is that police moving protesters away from that police building after reclaiming it in the wake of abandoning it during some of the prior demonstrations. So you can see officers walking toward them now here. This is obviously another point of view that we are giving you. And they appear to have a plan in mind, and they are guiding them away from that East Precinct corner at 12th and Pine. We have seen the flashbangs, and we have also been hearing from SPD different things being thrown. We have seen there's some debris, and I'm hearing, we'll have to check in with Ryan, what we just heard there on video. Police have said they are using less lethal methods, and it's unclear what those were as that photographer zooms in. Ryan, do you have a good viewpoint?
We do. We were moved back a considerable distance from where we were just a few seconds ago. Here we go again with kind of the standoff between police and protesters. Again, they have formed that wall, the wall of bicycles, and really kind of just a wall of police personnel. And so they're on one side, I would say about maybe 30 feet away from the protesters. And here, Jonathan, let's go over here to some of the protesters right here. We're seeing this constantly. Again, it is give and take. Protesters and the demonstrators, they advance maybe a good 50 feet, and then they get pushed back. And it is a constantly back and forth here in the Capitol Hill. In terms of damage that we're seeing, again, we are at Cal Anderson Park. We're at Olive and 11th right now. We're not seeing too much damage, at least in terms of apartment buildings, in terms of mom and pop shops here. But to be honest, we really haven't had time to scope out any of the damage here. So hopefully when this kind of simmers down soon, we'll be able to take an assessment on just overall how much destruction has caused so far. Again, everything changed about 3:45 today.
And Ryan, I want to ask you, just in the past few minutes,
we keep hearing is what you're hearing. As soon as kind of the protesters and demonstrators get pushed back, they are met with chants and yelling from some of the demonstrators here. And this is what we're seeing constantly. It's been about a few minutes since we saw a flashbang go off here. But every few seconds or so, every few minutes, things flare up and the situation rapidly changes. I got to say that in just the last literally 10 minutes, we have rounded an entire city block as these police move the demonstrators back. So it is constantly in motion and constantly an effort to disperse everybody. By my estimate, there are easily hundreds, if not thousands, of people out today. This is really one of the biggest demonstrations we have seen since that May 30th incident, where really we saw so much destruction that day, immediately after the death of George Floyd. This, I would say, is not quite to that level, but it is definitely one of the largest ones we have seen in more than a month. So we'll send it back to you. We'll let you know what we see if we come across anything.
Ryan, I don't know if you can hear me very well, because I know you're in a very loud area right now. But SPD is saying that the crowd continues to throw mortars and rocks at officers. And also they are saying that the crowd is throwing explosives. Now they're saying this is happening at 11th and Pine. I know you're not exactly there. I'm just wondering if you are seeing anything being thrown either from the crowd at this point or from police in terms of flashbangs and other things where you are.
We have actually seen quite a bit. We've seen beer bottles, water bottles. I think some of them have been frozen. We've seen boards. We've seen construction material like construction cones, rather. So, yeah, there is, and you actually go around the streets here, and there's quite a bit of debris in the street between all these flashbangs, and again, beer bottles, soda cans, boards, whatever really is around. It seems like that is the grabbing for anything to try to advance on these police officers after being pushed back themselves. The streets here are starting to be littered with debris every block or so as the escalation continues between demonstrators and police here.
Well, Ryan, I know when you were covering this, a few weeks ago, that we did see people getting having issues with things in their eyes, with gas in their eyes, and with injuries and things like that. So hopefully at this point you have not seen any types of injuries. We are hoping that everybody is able to leave these protests without getting hurt. And so please, as we watch this video from you, please also stay safe as you're covering this for us. We'll check in with you in just a few minutes.